Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the De Pere Sustainability Commission for Tuesday, April 8th. Grace, if you would read the roll, please.
Alderperson Quigley.
Here.
Commissioner Black is excused. Commissioner Henry Gillis.
Here.
Commissioner Lawton.
Here.
Commissioner Slavin.
Here.
Commissioner Van Schneidel.
Here.
Commissioner Weber.
Here.
Teen Advisor Metzler.
Here.
All right, thank you. And Betty is excused. She had something come up. First item, public comment on matters not on the agenda. Any comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Sustainability Commission. I don't see anybody here in the chamber with us. Online, if you'd like to say something, it looks like that's going to be a no too, right? We know all three of those screens. We
know all three of those screens.
All right, for the second time, any matters for public comment? And for the third and final time, any comment on matters not on the agenda? Moving ahead, please. Item 3-1, approval of the minutes from the March 11 of 2025 Sustainability Commission.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I can read names if that would help.
That
Sorry.
would, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So the motion, Commissioner Henry Gillis. And the second.
It's a hard one.
Van
Van
Schneidel. I'm used to doing
The
first
long
names.
names.
Yeah.
I know, right? But we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any issue with what's typed in the minutes that they're presented to you? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those opposed? And the motion carries. We want to do a roll call vote more often, right?
We're okay today.
Okay, I guess it depends on the
Let's
issues.
see how it goes.
Okay.
If we behave, we'll continue.
Item 2 that was on the published agenda was a presentation from the CA Lawton Company, and that was about the green tier presentation. They have not been able to come forward and do that today. Randall, did you want to say anything kind of along that line, or
Right.
give us broad strokes about what we're missing out on?
Well, they were prepared, but the chaos of the last couple of weeks, last week and this week, and maybe the last 2 months, has really discombobulated the supply chain and the flow of orders and cancellation of orders and order holds. And he's got 650 employees around the country that are all relying on someone to make decisions to try to keep them and keep those businesses going. And he just had to go out and see them, the various plants this week. So he's sorry. If we could reschedule in May or June, it is even, the presentation will go beyond just Green Tier 2. There's several other, let's see, I guess they had Green Tier 2, and then there's 2 or 3 more state certifications that they have that they will be talking about. So it will demonstrate, I think, to us the level of which the organizations, the corporations that are in businesses like this that can create pollution and use energy, and what it can do to reduce that, and what they have done to reduce it. I think it's important for us to understand we've got a whole series of organizations in our community that are doing things like this, and probably some that aren't. I don't know how many more Green Tier 2 companies exist in this city, but we could know that, and I think our energies could go towards understanding this.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I hope that we can get it rescheduled. We will work to do that. And I think the other thing with the multiple steps is that it's sort of a process that a business can go through, is that it's graduated steps.
Oh,
we want to,
a decade worth of
yeah,
effort.
we want to get as many
Absolutely.
businesses moving in that direction as possible. Very good. Then what I'd like to do is move on to item number 3, consideration and possible action on the Pollinator Garden RFP. Go ahead.
All right, included with today's memo is that RFP. We brought it back with the updates that we discussed at last meeting, mostly with the addition of verbiage for watering, adding host native plants. Outside of that, we identified 8 firms we'd be looking to send this RFP to for their consideration. Any final comments or edits would be addressed by staff before we sent this out, but we recommend approving the final RFP and submitting the RFP within the next 2 weeks so we can get some quotes on this and see where we can go.
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Lawton.
I didn't check the rusty patch bumblebee, but the Carner blue butterfly is not a very local species. And we probably pulled that off and said, well, pollinator gardens, these are threatened and they are important species and they are in the state, but they're mainly in oak savannas. And the closest one I know we have here is up above Red Banks, up on the ledge, where they've recreated oak savannas that weren't there 15 years ago, but the state and the Northeast Wisconsin Land Trust have taken a lot of land and they're recreating the oak savannas that were up there originally and in the southwest part of the state. So just FYI, there are other species, we just haven't identified them.
So then I would amend my recommendation then just to strike reference of the Carner blue butterfly.
Okay.
Where did that come from again? Where did we pull that from? You pulled it from
just-
another.
A lot of research on my behalf, looking at other communities and other states, RFPs, and
Well, yeah,
a
that's
lot of copying of their verbiage.
okay.
Kind of
So I just wanted to ask the question: do we need to Are you sure what we have in there is what we need to be covering?
The monarch, and I know the rusty patch bumblebees, I get hit up on my own permitting, so I know they're
Okay.
local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should include? Sorry.
Yeah, could we, the regal fritillary, but then again, I'm gonna kind of look to you here. I know that their host species is a violet, but then I don't know if they're asking them to be included in this. Their habitats might not be consistent with rusty patch bumblebee and monarch. So are those the 2 main hitters that we kind of want to?
I mean, I think there's so many plants that are host plants. Like if we were to put pussy toes or pearly everlasting, that attracts like painted ladies. So there's so many plants that we already have that can do that. I think if it just says host plants, maybe without any animals after, I think that would suffice. I also want to, can I add something else? Tidy landscapes and stone silo are the same person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Commissioner Lawton, go ahead.
I put a 10 by 20 pollinator garden in my yard last year, so I'm a rank rookie at this. This will be, we'll see what comes up this year because they're all perennials. But I did this plan out. I think I put 70 different plants in this 200 square foot area and with a specific intent to do what we're doing here. So I'm really comfortable that we're moving forward with this. One of the things I was going to add this year is some flowers that I didn't do. Probably some annuals, but you need certain colors and types of flowers to support them when they are at certain stages. Because remember, at least the monarchs, I think the bees also, every 4 to 5 weeks they're reproducing. So those monarchs that fly up here from Mexico, they get in and arrive in early May or mid-May or something like that. Every 4 or 5 weeks they're reproducing. And so they need the milkweed to do that, but they also need the pollinating aspect of flowers. So it's just remembering what we're doing, and if it could be that those locations have that kind of flowers, whether they're wildflowers or whatever, in the area, and we don't need to augment. I don't know that. As I said, I'm kind of green at this. I'm just learning.
You know more than me.
Other comments or suggestions? And then Chase, do you have the notes? Do you have what you need to go ahead?
Yeah, so the recommendation would then change. We would send the RFP to the 7 listed firms, striking Stone Silo and focusing mainly on tight landscapes. Carner Blue Butterfly verbiage would be removed from the RFP. And then am I including Regal Fertility and Painted Ladies, or should I just leave it as host native plants?
I think host native plants is
Yeah.
good.
Most native.
Okay.
The people that you're sending it to will know.
Go ahead.
One more addition. I noticed the timing on this is kind of next fall. And there's a lot of the species that you might want to be planting very probably won't be available after, some of them after May or June. So it might be that your RFP, if these people really know what they're doing, would say plant the following spring the rest of the plants that need to be done. I ran into that. There were 2 or 3 species that, in particular, some
Like spring ephemerals.
milkweeds that are only available in like late April. And so I have to get on that this year if I want to plant those. But then they're perennial, so they should keep coming up.
On that, we're up against 2 different things. I'm going on leave here for 2 months, so we're gonna get the RFP out. I'll accept the proposals back when I return. Then at which point we'll consider an award, go to Common Council. And then our budget, we have to spend the money this year, so we gotta commit to this
Oh.
and then also spend. So that's why it's kind of the push now for fall planting.
Can you do the contract and pay them and they finish up in you're only talking about 10% of the plantings or something, which would be a fairly small percentage of the cost. And that's just
I would have to look. We'd still have to carry over funds at that point, as the contract wouldn't be completed. We'd still have the planting aspect hanging out there, and I think that's a considerable portion of this contract. My preference, I think, would be to keep it this fall, just to keep it cleaner for our finance department, and then we have a solid closeout date.
okay.
And then that helps us with the next budget cycle too, looking at how we're spending money and how we
Alright.
allocate funds.
Just wanted to let you know the
Right.
complexities. Of
No, it's
this.
very fair. I'm not helping things by any means.
Well, no. But if we go through and do the RFP for this fall, there's possibility to build in the budget for the following year. I mean, we can't commit to funds for next year, but we can move ahead quicker and get it done in the early spring for the following year, right?
Correct.
Potentially, I mean.
Honestly, my worst case is this comes back and everything's like $40,000, and then we're
Then we're
punting
doing
on
it.
this.
Yep.
Yeah, I got us. If it falls back to us, we're good.
Emily, we spoke on this, right?
As a commission. As a commission.
It very well might. I had to prepare and put tip over turf and allow it to die, and then put new dirt in and do all that kind of thing, and all the buying the plantings, and I was doing the work, and it was still not cheap.
Yeah.
For 200 square feet. So.
So what I hear you saying is you have experience in the labor part of things. We might be
So, yeah, add
Exactly.
a
And I'd be
person back on.
happy to help work on it.
Project manager over there.
Okay.
I think we'll learn a lot though, just from the exercise of this, so I'm excited
Yeah.
just to see
Correct.
what we get back and then hopefully start developing some relationships in the community for this kind of work
Right.
too.
No, when those proposals come back, they'll definitely need everybody's consideration because it's gonna be a tight time
Yep.
frame then to award and get this out. Want to keep this pretty snappy at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing about what you just said about utilizing the community. Like, in the future, if there's other sites, then we could probably use this as a blueprint. So,
So the recommendation then would be approve the final RFP with the elimination of the Carner Blue Butterfly language. And then we'd submit the RFP to the 7 listed firms for consideration and quoting.
Okay. From the commission, are there any other comments or things that we haven't already discussed today? And we need a motion, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, so I would make a motion to approve this request for RFP and with the adjustments and the changes that Chase has already noted. I would need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Slavin. And so we have a motion and a second. Any other final comments before we take the vote? All right. All those in favor of going ahead with the RFP, please say aye.
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 And all those opposed? And the motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
We did it.
Yay! We did a thing.
It's really exciting.
It is.
You bet. And next up, this is item 4, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Consideration and possible action on prioritizing sustainable initiatives.
So this is a follow-up on the discussion from March's meeting. Commissioner Van Schindel created the attached draft evaluation criteria. She modeled it after our current Adopt a Drain program. So if you want to start, Carmen, with your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll start by saying this is a draft.
Yes.
So looking for feedback, looking for what we think would work and not work. Again, the intent is not to make processes longer, but instead use criteria to make sure what we're focusing on we're all aligned with and that we're not missing anything so that we can make the biggest impact. What I tried to do was pull from the highlights from, I can never think of the word, the document that
The Green Bay plan.
my brain is fried today, you guys, that the commission was created from, the ordinance, thank you, the purpose and whatever section. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can you say so that it's right in the notes?
I don't have it in front of me. The
No.
intent and
The intent and purpose or whatever,
purpose,
that
yeah.
section of it. I tried to pull from that to make sure that we were highlighting all of the right areas.
I'm just looking up the
You're trying
ordinance
to
while you're
scroll.
speaking. Oh,
Okay.
I can't do it. I don't have a
So that's like what the 1 through 7 is trying to outline. The additional questions in there are to guide the group as we think through what alignment with mission means. So I think as we do this more, we don't need every single one of those questions, but I wanted to make sure you guys were following my thought process. So alignment with mission, community impact, opportunities for engagement, feasibility, which we talked about, can we actually do it, and effort. And then alignment with broader goals. So that I think was my attempt to try to align with federal, state, local regulations, policies, and then also public concern so that we can identify if this is coming from public concern bringing it up or if we're addressing future public concerns, and then also leadership capacity. So maybe we don't have an expert on the commission, we identify that as a gap, and so we can then address that. Maybe we need to bring someone in or hold because we don't have someone to help lead the initiative. So using that criteria, I ran Adopt a Drain kind of through a process to evaluate. Again, this is just me based off of my knowledge to kind of show what it looks like in practical action. So yeah, I'll pause there.
I think it's really great. I would say with the broader goals, I think we can state that like alignment with federal, state standards or something, because especially with the stormwater, I guess we could get input from staff on, is it aligned with their permitting? I can't remember what it's called, but like that would.
green tier program.
The
Yeah.
MS4 permit.
Yes, MS4 permit. So I think there's always some sort of nexus to discuss, and so I would only just change that to be more specific.
So instead of alignment with broader goals, to say alignment with federal, state, and local policies and regulations?
Wait, I'm just thinking through this really quick. No, I think you're fine. I think then as long as we keep this template and keep that federal, state, and local sustainability policies in there as like a explanation of that criteria so we don't lose sight of it.
And I can help fill in the blanks on the local policy aspect, like MS4 especially, with the benefits of, say, Adopt a Drain and the community outreach aspects of that.
Go ahead, Randall.
I would move that broader goal statement up to the alignment with mission and not have it relate to the federal state objectives, but relate to objectives that we set up for how we feel that the commission can best utilize its talents, which is time and knowledge that this group has, and our partners and connections that we have within and without the city. And we should be evolving how we best do that so we kind of understand it. How do we best use our talents?
I think it's probably fine to parse it out here because I believe these are all the points of the
Yeah, it
initiative.
specifically calls out in the ordinance the mission, and it specifically references reducing water pollution, something about energy. I don't remember all of the things that it lists out. You're not coming through on your mouse duties here.
I know, I'm gonna read the keyboard so I can search this.
That was the intent, is to pull exactly what the mission is from the ordinance. But I agree with you that the mission of us is to use our resources and our knowledge.
Right, and it's kind of not, it doesn't give us the flexibility to make those changes as to how we can best utilize the time and talents of the commission, and therefore, maybe we put it in another point.
I say keep it just because having it delineated like this allows you to identify gaps in these specific places. And I think going through all of the initiatives with this framework, it doesn't mean that every initiative needs to touch on every point. It's just like getting a pulse on each one.
Yeah, because I think the intent is to uncover, are we on the right track? Can we
Yeah.
be doing more outreach? Do we need an expert on this topic? I think what you're leaning into, though, is more this leadership capacity. And I'm wondering if we can reword that section to say, like, do we have an expert? Do we have a connection? You know what I mean? To see if there's a gap. I think that's what I meant with the leadership capacity section.
Well, it's a combination of leadership and, in my mind, the feasibility.
Yeah.
The environmental zealots frequently can get really focused on something that's not very impactful,
Yep.
but they still want to see it happen, and then it's maybe a waste of resources. And I'm trying to put some kind of wording in there that gives us a better understanding of what that can be.
Well, I think that's what this whole thing is, right? Is if we have ideas and we have our current projects and we run it through these 7 items, does it work for us or does it not? Right? That's the,
Yeah, my only point is that we don't have those defined anymore.
I'm good with this, and we could test it out and see if there's anything that is left to be desired once we kind of start utilizing it.
I'm wondering, Randall, if there's like another sub-bulleted question to add under like feasibility or leadership capacity to kind of highlight
Yeah.
what you're trying to get at,
Right.
because then we make sure we don't lose sight of it as we're going through each of the buckets, if you will.
Yeah, that would be fine. I just want us to have a better understanding of how this commission makes impact.
That's the full intent of this.
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
understand that, but a lot of this is, how would I put it? It's, well, we talk about community impact, we talk about feasibility, but we don't have a good definition of how we impact things. It comes from in this case, it's the Adopt a Drain initiative, but we need to have a sense of ourselves about, adopt a drain initiative. Do those types of things do the work that we want to see done by this group of people? When we spend our time and the city's money on projects, on initiatives, what do we want to see there? How do we know that we're going to get somewhere with it?
Are you maybe thinking that we should have a second, like a bullet point, a separate criteria that states how will we like check up on our initiative? Like, we're gonna do this, and then what's our plan for?
Evaluating
If-
like, progress,
Evaluation.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
would that maybe
That would
kinda
be
satisfy?
another piece of it.
I think what we talked through, and again, this is just my opinion, and I'm following what I know of what Green Bay's tried out, but they used this type of criteria to evaluate all the initiatives, identify the gaps, think of what other initiatives, but then create a work plan for the commission, and part of that work plan is, like, are we tracking data? How are we measuring what we're doing? What are our check-in points, so that if there's a subgroup working on something, that at least when we look back at 1 year's worth of work, we can say, this is what we've done, this is what we measure, this is what the impact, here's what we maybe didn't succeed at, and then evaluate that each year.
And I think kind of along those lines, isn't part of it saying this is what success looks like?
Yeah,
Because if we have the adaptive drain program, one person could say, it's successful if we can get 20% of De Pere homeowners to do it.
yeah,
But if that's not achievable, or that
yeah.
doesn't tick the other, maybe having 2 or 3 in each of the neighborhoods across the city, that would be a different kind of success. So I don't know how to,
so maybe we add
Build
something in
that in.
there, yeah.
yeah.
I agree, because I think then this is a good framework to make a work plan. Like, just use this
Yeah.
the same instead of coming up with a new like template or anything.
Yeah, I keep going back to the feasibility and sustainability. I know sustainability is a funky word to use there, but
Yeah.
the feasibility of the effort, maybe within that we just add something like, what does success look like, or something as a starting point
Yeah,
to,
that's a
to
good
kind of
question.
try it out and not lose sight of it. Because then that at least gives us a place to say, like, we want 20% participation, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or we want, I don't know, 50 likes on the Facebook post, because then that we're measuring engagement in that way.
Right.
I
So
think that's a good broad question. What does it look like, instead of like how can it be tracked? It's
Yeah.
how it, then it wraps in how it can be tracked and the goal at the same time.
Because that really falls under the feasibility of it. Like, if our goal is to get every single, I don't know, homeowner an electric car, right?
Yeah.
That,
We're setting ourselves
if
up.
we say
for
that's what success looks
frustration.
like,
Yeah.
we know that's not feasible. So I think it does fall under that bucket.
And that item 4, instead of saying feasibility and sustainability, are you getting at, can we replicate it, or can we keep the program going forward?
More like maintenance over time.
Okay.
I kind of have it in a question there. So very happy to reword that if that's confusing, because it is.
Yeah, it's just a little awkward, but when you
Yeah.
explain it, of course, it makes sense.
Maybe feasibility and maintenance.
I almost kind of think it would be worth just trying it as is, adding something now, but then saying, hey, come, I don't know, September, August or whatever, we put it on the agenda to review and then update, or we can do that we might need to do it every month, but I almost feel like until we kind of start using it, I think it'll become clear pretty quickly, like, oh, we have a gap here, or, oh, we need to account for this, or, hey, this is really slowing it down and it's superfluous. Like, I feel like we almost have to kind of use it
Yeah.
a little bit to shape it and see.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of thought similar. Maybe we run one initiative through it every meeting, spend 5 minutes on it, and then keep track of those notes, pull it into like a draft work plan, and then see how it worked at a certain set point.
Right.
So just listening to the discussion, bouncing back and forth, I took notes. Under item 4, we'd look for possibly 2 items, like a current goal, question mark, final goal, question mark, for the objective. I think we should consider anticipated time of impact. How long will it take us to get to current or final goal?
Yeah.
And then there's mention of bang for the buck. Is it worth what we're doing? So I'll add these notes to this tracking sheet, and I'll send them back to you for just revisions and
That works.
or consideration and approval, and then we'll bring it back next meeting. The question I have is, we fill out this criterion, we evaluate the adaptive drain program. What is the output then? How do we,
Next steps, right?
how do I know one initiative is deemed more important than another?
Like a
Is there a
ranking
scoring
system
or
or
a-
something,
yep.
yeah.
And I don't want to be quantitative, because the engineer in me is coming out and
No,
black
I know,
and
because
white,
I'm
here we
like,
go.
my gut just says, do we all agree that there
Yes.
is more
Yeah.
benefit than gaps?
Right.
And
Oh,
that the
yeah.
gaps we feel like we can handle, but you can't always go off a gut feeling.
Right. Like, Hail Caesar, we all just thumbs up, thumbs down, and
I also don't want to have analysis paralysis
I
either, because
know.
I feel
Yes.
like
Oh,
Yep.
so
it's hard
easy.
enough to get things to move ahead.
so maybe
Yeah.
we assign a score per each number 1 through 7, and then based on how we fall, we then get a cumulative number value that's assigned to this. I don't. How do you?
Can we run all the things through first and see how they shake out, and then from there figure that out?
And in the background, I'll keep score and I'll see how
Yeah,
it falls for
there
me.
we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm wondering.
And I'll fill you in later how I think it's
There you
going.
go. Is our next meeting canceled?
And the next 2 meetings are
Next
canceled.
two?
So it'll be June.
So I wonder
July.
if
July will be back.
we can all send you our personal evaluation of all of the current, or
Programs?
honestly,
Ooh.
too, if
I'll
everyone
do
wants to
the
send them
Adopt
to
a
me
Train
too,
one.
I can pull all of the notes together and just bullet out. We can maybe handle scoring after. Or
I'll
at
take
that
on whatever you
time.
guys send me. So if I get one from each of you, I can compile, and it doesn't matter.
Are we allowed to have like a working document that we all edit, or does that count like a online quorum, you know?
Yeah, if we have like a Google Doc.
yeah, if you made this.
That I think is borderline quorum, because that'd be no different than like a virtual meeting.
But what happens if none of us are in it at the same time?
We get from 2 p.m.
Right?
to 4 p.m.
Yeah, like you like see more people are in there and you're like, okay, I'm not going to go in there right now.
Yeah, we
Making
are.
them uncomfortable.
We're teetering.
We'd have to check with somebody legal,
We're
but
quorum adjacent. If 4 of you are in the document, I think that's open to a discussion. At that
Technically a
point.
quorum.
I'm willing to take all the tally everything up and pull it all together if everybody's comfortable sending it to me.
Yeah.
I'm also, if you're not, send it over, and
Are you comfortable with your work email then being released? I've kept you all separate at this point.
yeah, I don't care.
Okay, Carmen.
I
is
work in
taking it.
sustainability, so.
Okay. I can put like 3 of these together.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think, and if there's something that you don't know enough to feel like you can evaluate it, then maybe just put that, because maybe we say, hey, only one person knows about this.
Yeah.
Right,
Initiative or
right.
whatever.
I'm also wondering with the scoring system, and I worry that we're kind of getting into the weeds here. If another approach would be, we have 2 initiatives that are both interesting, let's just look at them side by side and say, how many boxes does this check off, how many does that? And then we as a commission say, let's move
Yes.
forward with this one first, rather than spending a lot of time tabulating and calculating scores. But, it's a draft, and I think we need a little time to dig into it and figure out if it's effective or not.
Yep.
I think this is going to show things very quickly laid out like this.
And I'm not an expert on policy regulations, so too, I think if you have any input on any of the initiatives, like, we might not have an expert on some of that stuff.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, this is going to be very subjective. Like bang for your buck. Just throwing out compost program. It's a little bit controversial.
Yep.
In my opinion, we're spending 16 times more than just throwing the garbage away. But environmentally wise, this is an incredible bang for the buck. So it'll be interesting to see where you all fall on that spectrum on how this comes back.
Yep.
But
I think it represents to me one of the biggest challenges we have as a commission. We're trying to get the American people to do things differently than they've done it, than they learned to do in the recent past 50 years or 70 years or something. And it's not easy to do. You're pushing on a string. You're trying to convince them to do something that's not necessarily easy for them, but there's a higher goal for them if they do it. And how do we do that? It's not easy, and obviously it's 16 times more expensive, and it's not working. You'd hope that you would be overwhelmed with the request for this and be asking for more money or something, but it's not happening. It's not easy.
right.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead, yeah.
I was just thinking, right, there's the early adopters, mid adopters, and late adopters, and how do you convince each group of them, right? Because the early adopters are jumping on immediately, and it's those mid and late ones that you really have to do that legwork with. That's interesting. Okay.
Yes, because if you don't get the mid ones, the late ones
Aren't gonna
never
do it
going to
at
be
all.
around.
Yep.
You're going to stall if you can't
Yep.
get that don't have a strategy for them.
Anna, Penny, for your thoughts.
Well, I'm not really too sure with like all the, I can't think of the word. Kind of like rules that like come with it, I guess. But I think, just kind of, I guess getting like the public's view too. Like, should we like continue this? Like, do you think it's worth continuing these different initiatives? And again, like kind of keeping track of how we're moving forward and if it's worth continuing to work on it.
I like that, a public aspect to it.
We do have public concern in here.
Right.
And I think
What I anticipated this uncovering is that we maybe don't have a lot of public feedback pushing us to do some of this, and maybe that's why we lack in engagement in some of them. So maybe an outcome of this is we need to solicit what does the public want to do.
Or farmer's market, just anybody that walks up, what do you think about cleaning leaves out of a drain? Is this beneficial to you and keeping our stormwater?
Oh my
our
God, it
rivers
blows
clean?
people's minds when you tell them about it.
Goes to the river?
Want you to
What?
know, yeah.
So-
Blows their minds.
I know last meeting we talked about one of these goals is getting people involved to help us complete these initiatives. So maybe we do need a more targeted question. Would that be better under, that's opportunities for engagement. I think that's. Okay, never mind, that's in there.
Well, kind of along with that, when we're evaluating a proposal, does it provide opportunities for community engagement? And then are there steps we have to take to make the engagement either more effective or more widespread?
Yeah.
So that
I think that's what flows into the plan.
goes through that
right?
lens.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I see us as the biggest facilitator of with this.
All right, thank you. I think I did say maybe a approval on using the criteria going forward, but I don't know if you technically need a vote on that or what, but.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how do we move forward? Because you've got some notes on, this is a draft and we're starting this conversation, but at the same time, we want to use,
So I would say the recommendation from staff would be to approve the draft assessment criterion with the notes provided in today's meeting, and we will bring it back in July to review our first initiative. And
Okay.
then the deliverable after this will be, I'll update this form with our notes today. I'll send it to Carmen, and then I'll provide Carmen's email to the group, and we can all start assessing things.
Sweet.
and so while you're doing that, you're going to give us the language, then some individuals are going to go through
Yes.
and use these steps to evaluate existing programs that we have.
I'll,
And on the last agenda, all the initiatives were listed out, or just some of them?
the ones that have been current
The
were.
active ones?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll send the draft of this to everybody with the updated notes. And if anybody has comments, copy me, and then I'll re-update everyone.
And maybe reattach this.
Yes, can do.
Okay. so
Powers and duties was the word I was looking for.
Powers and duties, thank you. So again, we don't need to vote on anything at this time. We're just going to bring it back and continue
Fair, yes.
working on what we're working on.
Can we get a motion to bring it back to staff or refer it back to staff or?
I like that, Grace. Refer it back to staff, and we'll bring it back in July.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we refer this back to staff and continue the conversation. I need a second.
A second.
Ms. Van Schindel, thank you.
Who was?
Carmen.
Carmen did?
Yep.
Sorry, I can't do it.
Last names?
I don't pause
Carmen
well.
is easier than
We're-
the last
We're
name.
casual, yeah, we're
And
casual now.
she moved her.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to refer it back to staff and continue this
Make a
process.
motion.
Okay, any discussion before we vote on said motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Thank you very much. All right, item 5 on the agenda is sustainability conferences and seminars update.
Yeah, so in March, Carmen kind of sparked us bringing up a conference that's coming up here for sustainability. So we looked at local conferences throughout the state of Wisconsin that are sustainability centric. We do have money if commissioners are interested to attend these, both for attending and mileage to get there. I think the Midwest Climate Summit 2025 is the one Carmen referenced. Then we found two others, one through the Universities of Wisconsin, and the other through the Sustainable Business Council. The way we reimburse thing is based off the city policy manual, and we've attached that for the commissioners' consideration. If anybody's interested, please get in contact with Betty at this time. I'll be out of the office for a little bit. We'll have to evaluate our budget. We can't send everybody to every conference. We physically can't afford it, but one or two maybe to each could be feasible. If interested, get in touch with Betty, and then we'll evaluate and get back in touch.
All of these are within that $1,000 range?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have the answer right now.
Okay. I likely will be at the Sustainable Business Council for my work. So just as a note, if we want to have multiple people at the same conference or not, I won't know for sure for a while, but typically we do.
Okay, and then maybe another item for people to just kind of keep on your radar is if you see conferences or workshops going forward, we can make this kind of an ongoing feature of community development. You know, it can be us, or if we can find community people that are interested in these topics, that's what we want. That's what we're going for. Very good. Again, we don't have any action on that one
Nope.
necessarily. Okay. Number 6 is city newsletter update.
Yeah, so the city has a new newsletter now that we're putting out. In the April edition, we got in touch with them and kind of outlined all the sustainable initiative and outreach that we're doing as a commission. We provided the language for you all to see what went into the newsletter. We confirmed it was published. And then it's also on our website. Now that I can drive.
Yep.
If you go to, let's see here, how do I? And then sign up for, Betty hooked me up with right here. And then there's the e-newsletter monthly that people can see.
Very good.
So people can sign up and see it.
Cool. Thanks for that.
How many people did this go to?
I do not know.
Oh, I thought there was a line about that in here. We'll have to find out.
I can reach out. We can get
Oh, I'm
the
just
answer.
curious. I mean, I guess, do people go onto the website a lot to sign up for newsletters and things? Or do you just get like stuck on the list somehow? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm gonna go sign up.
And then here's our
There we
portion on it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I know they sign up for a lot of complaints.
Correct.
It's fair.
Newsletter, I'm not
Was
sure.
this intentional or this isn't on?
I would like to have it on there.
Okay, that's fair. Anything else about the newsletter before we move ahead? So get out there, get signed up, everybody. That way we'll give Chase 5 or 6 more names to.
Do we
To
have
keep
like
track of.
Facebook posts on these things? Okay.
Yep.
Because I feel like those would be seen more than somebody having to like go into the website and clicking and signing up for a newsletter.
Yeah, I think it's a very different audience that we're getting with
Yeah.
social media, but we do have a lot of social media things that are, I guess a lot of city departments are feeding into the social media, so we just have to kind of make sure our message gets through clearly.
And it's for better and worse on social media. We can't always respond to those who comment or
Feels like some of your kids
correct people.
lessons.
Yep. Okay, next up, I want to just ask if anybody has future agenda items. Anything we could be doing for upcoming meetings?
Just an update to the commission then. In July, we'll have to reelect the president or chair and vice chair of this commission. We'll bring back compost to see how the first round of reimbursements went. And then we will also discuss, I think we have a little bit of an update with Adopt a Drain. I think we've got another person signed up or something.
I have ideas too for outreach, so
Yeah.
Right.
that'll be at the July meeting.
I think are you also doing the composting video?
Yeah.
Is that, okay. And then I think I was on to give an update or share something from Discover Green Bay, but my connection from there no longer works there, so we can take that off of
Okay.
I would like
update.
to chat with you.
I just don't know a ton, and I think I was trying to see how we could integrate in, and From a capacity and timing perspective, it's not worth looking at right now.
Fair enough.
But if they were to come to us and say, we want to highlight what De Pere Sustainability Commission is doing, we would love
And
to do
We
that.
would accept that invitation.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Betty has an update as well for clean air. Her extended family lives in Indiana, and down there she found a pamphlet where they have a big community-wide clean air initiative that would be kind of cool if we got like a Green Bay Metropolitan, and maybe that could be something De Pere would lead and get everybody to partner on with.
Very good.
I also did not get my reminder to submit my Greener Bay, my
Your
composting
compost
receipts.
reimbursement.
Yeah, that is
Which-
an email I'll be sending out this week.
Okay, just making sure. Because you said we get a reminder.
I shouldn't have to remind Carmen.
I didn't remember till I got here. So
No, that'll come
I'm
out
doing
here
my
shortly.
receipts right now.
Once again, future agenda items before we get ready to wrap things up.
There are no May and June meetings?
Correct. So it'll be probably September or August would work better if we can get Lawton in for that. Because I think July will just be really heavy as I catch back up, and then we can fit you in better. And
All right,
once we're settled back in.
that's fine.
Okay. Very good. In that case, I would make a motion to adjourn. We need a second, please.
I'll second.
A second, Commissioner Slavin. Commissioner Nicole. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.